Welcome inside Cincinnati Soccer Talk, the show that has been here for you since it all began. Hold on. Somebody's breaking in my studio. Hey, get out of here. Huh? What do you mean you're robbing me? You can't rob me. This is my house. Why are you dressed like a zebra? Wait a minute. Where were you Saturday night? Listen, sir. You can do whatever you want. Take whatever you want. But give Cincinnati those points back. All right. I feel that's a fair trade. I'll let everybody know. Sorry about that, dear listener. Just when you think your city's safe, people will just brazen walk right in here. We've received a lot of feedback this week about stolen points and bad refereeing. So, of course, we're going to talk about it here tonight. Emails galore. You have blown up our inbox, probably a record of feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com, comments and Twitter messages. So if it's on your mind, it's on our hearts. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into that tonight after we introduce our co-hosts. And, well, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Feeling better, I hope, from his last visit. Jeffrey Tebbets, how you doing?
It was aliens, man. I swear. It was aliens. They directed their space lasers from above the stadium, and they hit the camera, so it made it turn like a few pixels to the right, and it was aliens, man. I'm doing all right. 2-2 draw is all we can ask for. I got it right. I changed my score in the Growler Cup at the last second. And so, hey, 5 extra points for me. I think that's what the countings is. But yeah, I'm doing all right considering what happened.
All right. Jeffrey Tebbets, I think you're hinting at some conspiracy allegations out there, if that's where you're going with that.
Either that or it was the mole men. It was the mole men that did it, not the aliens. I'm sorry.
We'll get into your best and worst. I am looking forward to hearing your guys' thoughts on all of this. Next up, I think we have a celebrity in our midst tonight. Bill Wolf. What's going on, sir?
Oh, man. I mean, mole men, aliens, zebras. I'm not really sure what to go with after that. I'll just say I'm doing okay.
We bring you in here because I saw Brian Weigel's Twitter and Facebook feed after the game for the last 2 days. The man's been on a rampage. He's trying to tear MLS down from the studs. Rip out the drywall.
Brian?
Down the house.
Was that Brian or Brad?
And
just because I got LASIK doesn't mean that I changed my name too, pal.
I thought I saw some hot takes from you, buddy.
I mean, I said there was a disgrace, but other than that.
I was going to say, Brian never has a internet rampage. So.
Never.
It was the third Weigel, man. I tell you, it was the third Weigel.
It's the triplet that none of us have ever seen.
Of course, yeah. If that would have happened, my mom would have died. Yeah, I mean, I got a LASIK just in time for the ARs to lose all their vision and capabilities. So it just fits, I guess we can say. But had some different seats this week. Got to sit on the sideline versus the end zone. Had a great view of the offside no call, and I kind of wish I was back at my other seats, so I wasn't so dead set on it being a bad call. So, but yeah, glad to be back here. Thank you once again to Pro Referees for delivering at least a good half hour of content for Cincinnati Soccer Talk again. So appreciate you guys' sponsorship and look forward to continuing this relationship, hopefully in a better capacity.
That's
Sponsored by Twitter.
It's all about the views and pros trying to make sure people stay hot and stay mad. But we would prefer that not be the case, to be honest with you. But I'm not a big fan of talking about referees every single week. Every other week's fine with me. We're going to dive into that. Overall, this was a 2-2 draw. FC Cincinnati did not, as Jeffrey Tebbets told me before the game, New England's loss really helps us out and keeps FC Cincinnati right in the mix of things. I want to dive into some optimism here in the end of the show because Ken Hedger has good things to say as well. And he's our official statistics guy. The stats, not looking all that bad for FC Cincinnati. But before we get into any of that, we're going to get into your best and worst. 2-2 draw to Columbus. FC Cincinnati goes up they even out, they go up, they even out, but at no point were they down, which is really good when you consider the last time we played this team. Brian, best and worst.
Well, I think everybody's concern was what was going to happen without OB in that midfield. And I think the relationship between Moreno and Kubo played very well for at least a good 65, 70 minutes. They both understood their roles, when to make sure to be in Zelarayan's pocket. Coupling them with our back three, they forced Cucho to come back to the ball. I mean, it really was a great setup all around for Coach Noonan. So I think that's my best. Just being able to minimize one of the hottest offenses in Major League Soccer. Worst, I wouldn't say it was necessarily those guys, but the disconnect when you brought the subs in to finish the game. It seems like some of them were on different pages. I mean, you saw Alan Cruz at points like trying to signal to the guys to keep pushing that higher line of confrontation, and they just fell back. We're very content on getting a couple passes and then just relieving pressure by hoofing it and conceding possession to Columbus. So a little disappointed in that. Just something that we keep saying is this team needs to find ways to kill off matches. And of course, there was the missed opportunity there with Don Bocci, but overall, I think there's some tactical issues that FC Cincinnati could shore up.
Thanks for that, Jeffrey Tebbets. We will go to you next. Worst and best.
No, we're going to switch it. We'll do best first.
All right, it's different.
Maybe because the best, it was a terrific first half. A 1-0 lead at halftime should probably have been 2-0 at some point, but one of the best corrections that they had in this game is that FCC was aggressive, even though they weren't possessive. They kept the shots distant. They only had, I think, 2 legitimate shots in the first half given up. And any fouls and set pieces were distant. They weren't in Zelarayan's range. They really weren't threatened by any set pieces in this game. Both goals came on not at set play. So they did a good job with that. I wish it went a full 90 minutes of that, but beggars can't be choosers.
90 minutes plus.
That's the thing. The plus is killing us here, guys. They say 90 minutes plus. Play the plus as well. The worst, look, we're overanalyzing this thing to death. There are people online that are drawing lines and squiggles, overhead shots, underhead shots, trying to figure out how many pixels over it is, how many inches, millimeters. We're overanalyzing this. I know you can make points, but you're also trying to reinforce your biases. We're making a lot more enemies than we are beggars, and I know that VAR is a broken thing, but that's something we have to figure out as a system and not as a give our team an extra point. There's no guarantee that wiping that goal out makes it a 1-1 or a 2-1 draw, a 2-1 win, I should say. If the defense had not bent and broken, then we wouldn't have this story. So let's keep the overanalysis to a minimum and let's just go on with the next game.
All right, Jeffrey Tebbets. I'm coming at you, good sir. This might be a terrible comparison, but Patton, never say die, never concede defeat. When we are right, we're going to rub it in your face. Gotta love sports, baby. That's what we do. FC Cincinnati, we're annoying as hell when we're good on Twitter. When we're good on the field, we're going to be annoying as hell on Twitter. We've been saying as such for so long. It's our God-given right to be a-holes, and I love it.
It makes me feel like the ex-president when we had the hurricane hitting into Florida. He drew that extra line to make it look like it was going to hit Alabama. So that's what it feels like we're doing here. We're drawing extra lines to justify points that we don't have. So let's stop reinforcing this and just go back to liking soccer.
Love you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
Man alive, I don't know what happened there. I lost control. Bill, I lost control.
You did.
Give me your best and worst.
You need to start coming out with the cards earlier, Boston, or this whole entire podcast is just going to be chaos. You will be taking people out of the angles. Exactly. I know. Right. I cut me off there.
Clay's not here, so we don't ever go studs up anymore.
Oh, okay. And we don't have the Clay clock, so even better. All right.
Well, it's your
I'll
time.
go best and worst. Yeah, I'll keep it simple. I mean, the environment was just incredible. I mean, that was the closest thing I think I have experienced at TQL Stadium that felt like Crystal Palace or USA Mexico. I mean, those were, epic games, Open Cup games, right? Those humongous games where just the entire stadium got behind everything going on. And, in the Bailey, it just felt like, every time it wasn't just the Bailey, it was the entire stadium singing, chanting, screaming. The roar was incredible. The FCCs were incredible. It was at a different level. We were in a different gear for that game, and that was fun. So I hope we can continue that. I hope as Brian kind of alluded to, when we get good, we're going to be a pain in the butt. Let's just keep it clean, I guess, since we don't want to be bleeped or anything. But yeah, we're going to be a pain and we're going to be annoying, and let's be that. So that was fun, and I hope we can continue to be annoying and turn TQL into the fortress it should be. Worst, I think, for me was just Porter. He is just such a douchebag and always has been. And honestly, to come out and accuse us as being classless, and he is so incredibly classless himself is ironic. The fact that he shushed our fans and told them to F off, and then was mad when he got things thrown at him. I mean, I don't condone throwing stuff. I mean, I absolutely would say, please do not throw stuff. It is the wrong thing to do. But he was literally like riding a tornado and just being a jerk and surprised when people, like, at that moment with a goal scored in the 96th minute, you tell a fan to F off. What's he going to do? Just say, oh, thank you, give me another? No, I mean, that's what you're going to get, as a beer thrown at you. So, I hate to say it, that was poor behavior on our part, but, I think, he's just not a great guy. And then even crazier to turn around and then yell at his own fans for not being positive enough about his team afterwards. Just shows you the guy is just miserable. So hopefully he'll figure himself out someday.
I want him in Columbus, because the longer he's in Columbus, the more we're going to beat him. I mean, if that wasn't shown through the first 60, 70 minutes of this match, when we get our full complement of players and the right guys in places, we're going to throttle those guys, because look how much talent they have and what they can barely get out of it.
He's the Neymar of coaches.
The Neymar of coaches, Boston.
Yeah, he flops on the ground, and after he attacks somebody, and then gets mad when something bad happens. He's also a hypocrite. I mean, someone, of course, through many of the teams he's coached have way worse trash all over the field. Just that was nothing compared to
Crew Portland. I mean, to call us classless. I mean, go back and look at the videos of Crew Portland where those guys got showered with beers and things. I mean,
right.
The Crew fans are the same. I mean, it's not good. It's not proper in any case, but I mean, don't come out and be high and mighty and basically be exactly what you are accusing us of being.
Yeah, like Bill said, we don't condone, and every fan should have proper behavior, but also don't taunt the fans. Like, just don't go over there and taunt them if you're asking for trouble at that point. And I don't care what stadium you're in this league; it has nothing to do with Cincinnati. If Noonan goes over to the Philadelphia fans and flicks them off, guess who's going to get a water bottle thrown somewhere on the field?
Exactly.
Like, it's just common sense.
You poke a lion with a stick, it's going to try to bite you.
I mean, you kind of, I know, like, Columbus, their players went over there to quote unquote celebrate with their fans after a draw on the road. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier, and this is probably a bad take, and I'll probably get killed for it. But like, isn't there got to be some sort of rules or something where you're putting the fans and the players in a bad spot by allowing them to go over like that after a match? Like, I was just thinking about, like, shouldn't they just go back to their damn locker room? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I mean, I hope we act better, and I don't like it, but I think there's got to be something that changes that.
I think if you're talking about like a regular season game, I think, yeah, that should be frowned upon. You shouldn't be going out there and celebrating as if you're the home team. If it's a postseason game and you upset somebody and you've got, a bunch of fans up in your corner celebrating and cheering, their lungs out, then fine, come out and acknowledge them like that. Give them applause, celebrate with them. But you're celebrating a draw, man.
That's what cracks me up too.
You've had 12 of these or 11 of these the entire season. You haven't celebrated the others. Yeah. Don't celebrate this one.
They're celebrating because it's literally the best it gets for them. Like they were never going to win that game. They looked terrible.
Yeah. On YouTube, Mark Cusi, did you guys not see Houston versus Dallas when Houston fans absolutely pelted the Dallas players after they scored? It's awesome and good for the league. I'm not sure it's good for the league. It's entertaining and it makes attention, but I hope, it's not Honduras where you're seeing piss bottles thrown in on the field and things like that, but
it's not good until, it's good until somebody gets hit and gets concussed by these things.
Now, did anybody see, I thought this was interesting. Cucho Hernandez caught a Miller Lite from the stands.
That was freaking
that was
awesome.
Tossed.
Yeah, that's
that
the
looked
most
like it was
impressive.
tossed versus chucked at him.
Yeah, regardless, it was freaking awesome. All credit to the dude. I hope he doesn't get AIDS or something weird for drinking it with somebody else. But, I mean, not the smartest thing in the world, right? But,
I mean, if he was going to chug something, he shouldn't be chugging water. If he's going to chug a Miller Lite, come on, have him toss over something that's actually, gets you drunk.
Our photographer probably got the best photo of the whole thing too. It's all over crew social media. So good job, Anders. You did.
Was that our picture?
Yeah, that's our picture.
Oh, no shit.
So he did a great job of catching that. He caught like mid swig. It's just if that was our player, I'd have that as my phone background. Honestly, it's good. Well, I didn't get into my best one. My best by far is, since Bill has already covered the fan angle, I kind of want to jump into the club angle because I've been hard. I have been hard on FC Cincinnati. I've been to many stadiums around this league. This year, I went to the Crew game. I went to Austin. I've seen some big matches and some big front office shows and some hype. And I got on the club because I just felt like we could really amp up our big games here. And this was a match that I saw FC Cincinnati go all out for. They brought the flames, they brought the fireworks, they brought the stairs out of nowhere. That was cool. And really just social media banter, even the fun little things that they did inside the stadium to make the game better, then pairing it with season ticket events and stuff that same weekend, just kind of making Hell is Real an event, something that you should be a part of. And I think you saw it in the Inquirer posting an article about how other Cincinnatians need to pay attention to this game, but not really. Don't drive our prices up even more, guys. Then this is a big deal. And I feel like FC Cincinnati made it a big deal. So good for the club. That's a good best. I want to jump into your guys' best. You guys are blowing up the YouTube and Facebook streams tonight. So I'm just going to hit a few. Normally I hit them all, but there are a lot. This echoes what some of you guys have said best. My first time in the Bailey, and it rocked. Kevin, I am glad you got a great impression because that's exactly what the Bailey is all about. Worst, besides referees, is letting in a second goal again. I agree. We want to touch on. We're going to touch on it. Late goals have become a theme, but they can't be a theme if we're going to keep this thing going. Best, first game at TQL was a great experience, even if the result was disappointing. Worst, another draw that feels like a loss. Awesome, Alex. Glad you were in town and made that. That's pretty cool. Best, the passion from both fans and intensity of the stadium. Worst, losing points in the last second of the games. If you can't tell, we're starting to see a theme. And we're going to continue on with that theme here tonight. First up, seeing out the end of matches, guys. FC Cincinnati have struggled and struggled. I've blamed it, honestly, on depth for most of the season. This one was a little bit different because we got Santos back. We got Baji in there. Is it still a depth issue or is it something else? Brian, if you had to theorize.
So I know a lot of people are digging on a lot of people there's a good amount of people that say Pat Noonan outcoached Caleb Porter, and then there's like a little caveat, the last 15, 20 minutes. I think bringing on Baji and Santos to freeze off that game was actually a pretty good move. I thought that's what we want those two guys to do. Every match we want those two guys to go and run out the defense, be able to get relieve pressure, hold up the ball. And they put themselves in a couple positions to do so. Now that huge gap between them and the midfield, nobody that was really, I would say competent's probably not the right word, but that Cucho factor, nobody able to go make a play on that field. And I think that was a tremendous problem for FCC, but it needs to be not switching off. It needs to be, I know Powell was in that game for a while, but being sure he's in the right spot. People were yelling at Cameron for heading the ball there. He was in a tough spot there too. And I think Roman could have played that ball a little bit better. If he he comes off his line a little bit, grabs it up. We're talking about that's done, game's over and done with. So I think there's lessons that we're learning. We don't have the right guys out there, but the moves overall, I still think that's about as best Pat Noonan can do. Anybody disagree? I mean, besides taking off Cucho with a congested schedule coming up?
You have to make those moves, and that's kind of where I was touching on depth, but I don't know if you can pin it on a theme. Is it because it seems isolated. Like we have different problems each match, and it's like we solved some of those problems. We brought Matt in to solidify the back line, and you can't argue that he's not done a great job, and he has. And then a couple of games ago, I thought the midfield played terrible, and then you have this match where Kubo comes out of nowhere and just says, "Hey, you don't need Obi. I'm right here." So
well.
If
anything, that's a depth thing. You're missing one of your best defensive guys in the middle, and as much as you're like Kubo played a good game, he only played 70 minutes of this game, and then they had to bring Cruz in, who played decent, but did not. He's no Obi. He's not even a Kubo right now. So you really had that missing piece in the middle, especially after Acosta left. As far as putting Baji and Santos out front, I liked it. I thought if one had gone in, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. But sometimes these things just bite you with, karma bites you at a bad time. And I think for Baji, it's been all season. We really needed him to get that third goal in there so that we wouldn't be talking about equalizers at the death.
Who would have thought we'd be missing Harris Madoon as much as we are right now?
Yeah.
Seriously, a guy that can slow the ball down, and he would be perfect in that scenario to ping those accurate long balls to those two speedsters up top.
Yeah. And it showed that he had a little bit in the tank that one game where he came in his last game where he just spent all of his fuel in the last 10 minutes of the game. Philly. He can do that. And the fact that we didn't have somebody who was willing to do that, it's sort of, I don't want to say that's the reason we lost, but it's a factor.
Well, I think you also got the situation right. I mean, we obviously brought Gaddis in for Acosta, so we had moved into a situation we were moving heavily defensive, and it's not the wrong move for most teams. I mean, most teams would do that. When you get into the final minutes of a game, you're ahead and you just say, let's hold the lead. We don't want to mess up by pushing forward too much, so we're gonna collapse in. We're just not good at it. And yeah, Matt Miazga is back and or not back, but he's in the back now. And, that's making a difference. But I think we need some more time before we're a team that's ready to absorb pressure. I think our best defense has always been a good offense on this team this whole season.
A quick offense. Yes.
Yeah.
Think about when we got word this week that Matarrita is, and they showed him during the game. They showed him on the scoreboard. Everybody gave him a huge round of applause, and it's going to take him. So I know the news just came out, and some people are like, when's he getting in there? It's going to be he's got fitness and major fitness to get up to. So if FC Cincinnati is rolling into October and looking good, I think then we start talking Matarrita. But theoretically, just hold out a little hope for me for a second. Matarrita's back, and we can actually play Barreal off the bench as a sub. I think this team starts to look real good. You got Obi in there. If we look this good versus the Crew in this match, where they couldn't offensively get anything together without a questionable call, I think this is a pretty solid team once they're heading into October.
I think if Matarrita does get back to some sort of fitness, you do not start him. I think you bring him in as a substitute instead of Barreal. I think you have him play the last 20 minutes of the game. That way you have an opportunity to extend leads. You have an opportunity to control the ball on the edges. You have an opportunity to boot that ball out of there defensively. And I really don't want to risk having the entire Costa Rica country mad at us if he ends up getting lame.
No. They broke him in the first place. They can suck it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
No. That was Mark Anthony K that broke him, not Costa Rica.
Blame Canada.
If Costa Rica helps him get match fit, okay. But if he's not ready, don't go.
I was about to say, I think the first time we're going to see him is in a Costa Rica uniform at their camp.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's jump into it. If you had to knock FC Cincinnati for one thing during this game, it might be possession, because it seemed like Columbus had a lot more of the ball, but FCC made more impact when they had the ball. Is that the right strategy for this, though? Should if we controlled a little bit more of the ball, does that stop Columbus in some way?
I don't think we're like a possession team. I mean,
no, I don't either.
It's not that like we don't possess, but I don't think that's our game. We're not trying to just own the ball. We're very, quick on the transition, and we get some bodies into the box very quickly, and we can cause some damage in that situation. So I don't think if we tried to change it, I think we stop playing our game. I think we're in trouble. I think that's what we did the first time in Columbus is, obviously we were down Acosta. So we just thought, well, let's change everything. And that was really bad. I mean, we have a way of playing right now, and I think we need to stick to it.
You mentioned it earlier, Brian, schedule congestion. FC Cincinnati has a little bit of navigating to do here. And depth might be another issue, but at the same time, can we afford to rest anybody? Or are we just going to have to start rolling out Wednesdays and Saturdays?
Yeah, I think I may have mentioned that a little bit when we go over the playoffs, but at some point, I think Pat probably was thinking about it. There's you got a whole slate of games coming up here in the next 2 weeks, so best to keep some minutes off those legs if you can help it, especially with Lucho. Like I that's the sub to me that just is kind of the head scratcher, but also game's getting chippy. Lucho's legs are getting tired. He's one yellow card away from a suspension. So I guess I want him on the field. I think that's the smart long-term play. So,
anything to add there, Jeff?
I buy and I don't buy the congestion thing, especially coming up in this next week. We don't have a Wednesday game. A lot of teams do.
But then we have it the
following week. Yeah. So I don't know if I would have considered bringing them off because of congestion right now. Maybe next week I would have considered it. But you've got an entire 7 days before the next game. I think we could have had either Vazquez or Brenner out there for the full 90.
I would have loved to have Brenner out there just because he's a guy that can slow it down, possess the ball a little bit, hold it up. And I mean, while he's not necessarily a hold up player, he can drop in the midfield, get on the ball, make a couple shifty moves and release somebody versus.
I know it didn't work when Acosta was out, when they pulled him back to be that number 10, but if you need him for the last 5 minutes of the game to be that number 10, let him have control of that. Sure. Let him grab all the fouls from opponents and slow that clock down.
You know what I really want to really just want to see us make somebody pay for that aggressive last 5-10 minutes. When we're up, these teams throw bodies forward at us, and we have yet to just really make somebody bite it, which is surprising because we've got Brandon who does breaks really, really well, and Acosta who can fly down the field once he steals the ball or once he gets the ball. So I am a little bit shocked that we haven't made somebody pay deeply for moving up on us those last 10 minutes. And I think if we could start to do that, get some confidence at the end of games, we'll start closing them out. One of the other things, we got a lot of good comments in here. Kevin Cooney on YouTube saying, quit the cute corner kicks. Serve it to the trees. We should be more effective in the air. Now that we've got Miazga, I kind of agree with you. We've got some tall guys in there, and then we saw what could happen when Matt gets his head on the end of one. Practice some of those big ones.
We saw what could happen when Powell gives that long throw in for the second goal. All that congestion in the middle, and Miazga was able to, just pound that one through the middle.
Yeah. If that ball gets lost in there, we have some shooters. So I'm with you there. What'd you guys do? Before we get into the controversy, we're going to talk about the good things in this match. How did you spend your Hell is Real day? Because I know you just didn't walk into the game. Maybe Brian did. He's got a family. But Bill, did you hit Northern Row?
Yeah, Northern Row. Hanging out with fellow supporters. Had a little bit of food to make sure I didn't pass out or anything in the middle of the game, and some liquid refreshments before as well.
How was it though? How was the atmosphere with the march? Did you do the whole yards?
It was good. Yeah. We finally have the city on board where we're actually marching in the street finally.
Great.
So it's nice because that's been a real pain with CPD requiring us to be on sidewalks for part of the march. So we opened it up, and that was a lot easier for sure. And I think it came across a lot better just because when you're split, it's kind of weird. But the march was good. Washington Park was a lot of fun. A lot of people picked up there. There was a lot going on there, and they joined in. So we came down Central, took a little pause there, did a little bit of singing and chanting, and lighting some smoke, and then headed in. But good electric environment to start. It was a good start to the game.
You could feel like just even driving in the vibes. And it's truly amazing what Chris Albright and Pat Noonan have done for this organization to kind of turn like the cockiness that you see, even just out of like the staff personnel, out of the freaking video board, what Anthony Precourt was right or something like that.
Boy, that upset some people.
I love the swag, putting Columbus SC up there, and I'm all for that, man. I'm all for the administration buying in. You remember like the first time. I think I can't remember. It was the first time in MLS. I think it was the first time in Major League Soccer where we were trying to promote Hell is Real, and the club would not budge.
Yeah,
like they would not do anything for it. And I really do love the shift. Well, I don't know if it's Alec or who's creating that, but really is positive. I mean, you saw it with with the Jason Williams article, and this is a must attend event. This will be a sellout every year, and this is what good rivalry matches need to be. So any additional stuff we have like that, like I love all the callbacks. How many times do we see the Jibby video on the scoreboard this week?
The burning scoreboard from the original Crew Stadium.
That was
funny. Yeah, that was good. That was a nice touch.
So, that's pretty cool.
It was really pleasant, right above.
It was an event,
but they had it right above their supporters, right? So it just felt like they were back home.
I will say that there's I know there's little silly things like the hot sauce tasting, but like the specialized tickets, the steps, it really made it an event, not just a game.
All those little touches too. I know that there are people before the game on Twitter. It's like, oh, come on. Why are you putting Anthony Precourt was right on that? Why are you getting under our skin? It's like, well, it wouldn't be a rivalry or a derby if we didn't get under some skin here. Oh. Did you like it? Did you like it when they put down the Columbus SC up there? I mean, you're a college town up there, guys. Just deal with it.
Here's the thing: is that I saw people from like Chicago and
the legacy MLS clubs, man, they were all up in arms.
They were all super soft about this, and yet, if they had this same vibe, they'd be all for it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was surprised by that, but yeah, you had some of those New England Revs, Chicago, some of those early guys. I got downvoted to oblivion on Reddit on the MLS page by some of those legacy clubs. So that was fun. That's where most of my banter was this weekend. Was deep in the dark hole of MLS Reddit. Oh, but let's jump into. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention the TIFO. Shout out to the supporter groups for that TIFO Doom themed. I will always shout out anything Doom themed because that's a sweet idea. And I'm just happy to see a good TIFO. That's full rigging use right there, Bill.
It was, yeah. I mean, we used a little bit of it for the last Hell is Real, actually. But this was the next one, and it was a little more complicated than before. So with 3 pieces, but we're getting there. So It was better than Goosebumps, at least.
Yeah, it was. I thought FC Cincinnati did a great job this year. They always do. But shout out to anyone who put in the work. If you are interested in that, they do post, and we probably should do a better job of this on the show of letting people know what times those are. But they post on social media. Follow your favorite supporter group, and you can get those painting times. And it's really fun to take your kids to, your family to, as long as you can paint in numbers, right, Bill? Anyone can do it. I painted a TIFO, so anyone can do it.
Yeah, the hard stuff is, of course, coming up with the idea and then getting the artwork done. And then, there's a team of slightly better artists than me who go through a tracing process to get all the lines drawn. But then when it gets down to the part where I can actually contribute, it's literally like, here is a square and you need to put paint in this square and it needs to be this color. And I'm highly capable of that. And I think most people are. Kids, we had a lot of kids at this one, which was fun. Hopefully they grow up and become, like designers and TIFO generators. But, we had, younger ones where, maybe the artistic skill was a little bit lower, but their parents would like do the outlines, right, to paint around the borders and then let them fill in the middle. So, there's ways to get kids involved, and it's just fun. It's just everybody running around basically painting a giant coloring book.
Yeah, I think there were a few notifications on Facebook, on Twitter. I think we posted something, and immediately a guy from the crew is like, "Oh, is this going to be your thing?" And he showed a paint by numbers of a butterfly, and I'm like, "Have you ever been to a TIFO painting night? That's how they do it. They put in the numbers."
I don't think they do for the crew. Actually, I think they just freehand stuff a lot more.
No, so as long as they don't print it like some teams.
Yeah, and all credit to them. They don't do that. And I don't know if it was Louisville that we used to struggle with a little bit, because they also freehanded theirs, and sometimes they had some artistic challenges where like people's arms were too long.
Freehanding's risky. It's risky business.
Yeah, it is. So give them credit for that at least. But yeah, no, it's good.
The best thing about paint by numbers is that you get people involved. It's not just this
elite group.
Yeah, we're the elite group of whatever thing. We're doing this ourselves. No, it gets the community involved, and I love Cincinnati's system because you just see all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life out there painting the TIFO. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, I mean, you get out there and there's people you meet that you haven't met before. Maybe it's their first time, maybe it's not, and you just haven't met them. But it's about community. It's about pulling the team fans together, the supporters together. I think it's part of the experience that makes people enjoy the club more.
All right, we're going to jump into this. We're going to jump into, you guys are mad. You're real mad. You've blown our email up. Coach is taking a lot of heat, guys. I told him to take the night off. He doesn't want to be on here. He doesn't want to take that abuse. First off, we're going to get straight into an email question that was sent to us that I just thought was hilarious. So props to whoever sent this in. Let's see here. Do I have it up? Yes. Coach keeps telling us that the bad averages will eventually even out. After hell is real, I think the MLS law of averages has different ideas. Woof. And that's referencing this show where Coach said it may not even be in a season, but eventually you get the good calls, you get the bad calls. It all evens out. Tinfoil hats. It's stacking against us. That quarter's been flipped and it's landed on heads a lot of times in a row. Brian, how does it even out?
Well, you would think that the pro referees would use every tool in their arsenal to get that to even out, and yet they still, I always thought that the conspiracy theories were BS, but I'll tell you what, man, not even checking the damn VAR for that shot, and it's just starting to get too coincidental in some of these cases, man. I'm starting to get over with pro. They're not how do I say this, keeping strides with the league. It's almost like the league's passed them up with the speed of the game and everything. It's just an absolute shame. So their responses are inadequate. And I know, Jeff, you were saying something about like bias earlier, confirming biases. I mean, that was about the most blatantly obvious thing I've ever seen them miss, and to not even go double check. They're just not even doing the full how do I say, tolerancing, you could say, to make sure that things are called correctly.
I think part of it is, it's the one thing where you have to earn respect. And I think we haven't done enough in the past 3 years to earn respect. But at the same time, we're also not losing 7-0, 6-0 to Philadelphia in the span of 2 months. We're keeping things close. We are not losing games. We're drawing, we're not losing games. But I also feel we're not helping ourselves when we're only using one direction for VAR, that we're looking at it from one side and hoping or praying that Nick's foot is onside or offside or something like that, when we should have another angle where we can see it, instead of putting all of our eggs in one basket and saying, well, he could be, but we can't see because he's behind the player. We just need to fix VAR, and that's more than that will even out a lot of the balances in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think we hear this, clear and obvious over and over again, and I get the concept.
I think
Jeff said.
Oh, there he is.
Am I back? Did you lose me?
Yeah, we lost you for half a second there, buddy.
Oh, bummer. Anyway, I was gonna say I don't think we want to be like NFL and be drawing lines everywhere, but at the same time, it's like clear and obvious puts us in a situation then where bias is too easy, right? So you walk into a situation and you think FC Cincinnati is 3-time wooden spoon. They're not a very good team. That's probably onside. That's probably a foul. That's probably a PK. I mean, and the problem is that the game is going fast, and they're making the best judgment they can. Sometimes these things are by inches. So you take either one of those two goals, which I think, at least for me, ad nauseum at this point, we've proven that both Gutman and Etienne. Thank you, Etienne. Were offsides in both cases, right? So great. It wasn't clear and obvious at the game, so they move on. Well, if the referee is assuming that our defense is good and assuming that they're probably pulling those people off sides, so they snap their flag up, and then the VAR checks it and says it isn't clear and obvious, and then it's offside. So once you get into this clear and obvious thing, now we're back into bias, and I feel like right now there's obviously a bias. I mean, you could just look at the statistics. I mean, you can only flip a coin so many times and get heads and start to wonder if there's something about that coin that's not right.
I again, on the nefarious side of things, these refs are graded. VAR guys are graded, and the ARs are graded, the officials are graded, and sometimes I feel like these guys are covering up their buddies. Okay, he kept his arm down, and there's, maybe I'm not 100% confident. Well, versus getting the head official to go look at it and give it another check over, I'm just going to cover my buddy and just presume that every call he's making is correct. And there has to be something there where they're what was it, clear and obvious, or glaring mistakes. I mean, something's not lining up.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say I'm an expert at being a referee. It's hard. There's no doubt it's hard. I've took training as a referee long ago. It's been a while, but one of the things they talk to you about very early on is to use your sideline refs, right? I mean, if there is a questionable call and you think you knew what happened, don't just go for it. Walk over, take a minute to talk to your sideline ref, because just by doing that, you're showing that you're taking a moment to confirm your own thing. That it's not just your opinion. It's not your thing. That now two of you have consulted and you agreed. And even if it's, I hate to say it, BS, and in the end, you're just going to do what you're going to do, there is a certain effect to the fact that you are saying, hey, at least I'm taking a second look at things, or at least I'm asking. And the fact that they don't go to VAR with us so many times, maybe there's nothing behind it, but it feels like sometimes, hey, you're not even like trying to look to see maybe if there was a mistake here. And this is these, I mean, we've proven it and we can see it. These are game deciding goals, right? I mean, we've dropped a lot of points because of referee decisions, whether they were right or wrong. So maybe at some level, what we're looking for in Cincinnati is at least take the effort to make that second look, right?
It's not just in Cincinnati too. It's all over the league.
Fair. Yeah, I agree. And Noonan has said that, and you've said that, and I agree.
Yeah, there was a bad Portland call, right?
Yep.
This weekend. There was one other one I saw that's been making the rounds.
Miami?
It was
Orlando.
I think there was also DC United and Philly the week before where it was an obvious handball in the box, and they said it was a natural position when it wasn't.
Yeah, and somebody just put it up there. I was just going to say, I think it was the LA Austin game, the flop, where the guy just like fell down in the box and got a PK or something.
Yeah.
The one thing I do want to hopefully wrap this up with, sorry guys, but did the head ref at any point talk to the assistant ref?
Well, they can always talk because they've got earpieces in.
Are they able to converse that way?
Yeah.
Or do they talk to VAR that way?
I think
For
they're
the
all
goal- for the goal check,
connected.
Yeah, for
If
the
they're
goal
all-
check, he was waiting for VAR.
If they're
I know
all
that.
connected, that's fine. But I think there's also something about going over to the assistant ref and saying, "What did you see?" And have that conversation face to face instead of depending on an earpiece. It just feels that there's something that you've lost without that personal communication between the person that made the call or didn't make the call and the person that makes the overall call eventually.
I'm going to jump into because I'm probably the most conservative or one of the most conservative when it comes to this conspiracy stuff. I don't believe that there's a conspiracy theory. I don't believe that any referee is sticking his neck out to make sure Columbus Crew win. Like, they just don't care that much about the Crew. So my thinking is when you start to see patterns like this, and go ahead and take the tinfoil hat off and just say, what is the reason for the pattern? And I think we're starting to see a clear trend of Major League Soccer having moved VAR to centralized in Atlanta, and it just hasn't been the same as when it was in the stadiums. Also, they don't have angles. It should not be an excuse. We don't have the right camera angles. Well, then you need to install more cameras if you're going to have a centralized VAR. I mean, or at least use the angles the stadium has as well. Like, there should just be a big package of angles. And I don't know why they only have 4. And then somebody said, well, the older stadiums don't have the right lines of sight, blah, 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 blah. It's still not an excuse. Use what that stadium has. And I would honestly, the league should mandatorily make stadiums get up to code. This is Major League Soccer. This is not 3rd Division USL. like where we started. This is bigger stuff, and fans want a fair game. So you won't always get perfectly fair because we should leave room for human error. And some of these calls haven't exactly been our way, and we may not have always been right, because there is an element of the fan base is always going to be mad at the referees. So you got to take that piece out of it. And we're always going to pull the best possible angle for ourselves. The crew are always going to pull the best possible angle for themselves. But at the end of the day, what I like to do is let's go see what random Miami, Atlanta fans think. And in this case, most of the league agrees we got hosed here. And that's kind of why I err on the side of we got hosed. Because if the average fan who doesn't have a stake in it says we got hosed, then we probably did. Plus my eyes. I have eyes in this case, not just Homer eyes. So just look at it a little bit. And I challenge a lot of fans to do this. MLS does not want FC Cincinnati to fail. I've seen those takes out there. That's a bad take. They clearly want a competitive league. They want us all to be, if FC Cincinnati, if Brandon Vazquez goes out there and bangs 5 goals in, MLS is going to be shouting that from the rooftops on their social media. They're going to be like, look what this young American's doing. Like that's the kind of stuff that they want to promote. So the league itself is not keeping FC Cincinnati down. The referees are just human beings that have a really bad system in my case. Somebody else mentioned this. The refs are told to keep it down, the flag's down if it's a close goal. But VAR says we can't check it unless it's clear and obvious. Those two things don't mesh. So what I would like to see in the offseason, or maybe even before, is something needs to change, because right now you have 2 rules that just let things happen. And we're not getting the reviews we should be getting. That's kind of a long rant. Sorry about that, guys.
It's good.
Anything else, or we beat the horse to death?
I think we beat it to death.
Yeah, it's dead.
We're all mad, and we know that we're right.
If we didn't answer your questions, shoot it over to us. We'll try to get back to you. We got a lot of questions about how do these things work. I hope I touched on that, trying to explain how the referees see it. And those 2 rules being the big key part there, and then how it impacts the clubs going forward. But like I said, every team is suffering right now, some more than others. Columbus happened to have received 2 gifts in a row because they received a gift last week versus Atlanta, and Atlanta fans were really on our side because of that. All right, let's jump into the points on the table, guys, because FC Cincinnati did not fall too far, if they fell at all. I can't remember. Where were they before this one? It was still right around the same period. 8, yeah. Cincinnati is in 8th place, 35 points, 27 matches played. Columbus has a game in hand right above us with 1 point, but honestly, that could go either way. Ken Hedger, our stats man, is predicting FC Cincinnati in a playoff position at the end of the season. What do you guys think? What do we have to do here? We have to make up ground, but
we have to win.
Yeah, win some damn games, right? I feel like genuinely we have if you're listening to the podcast, we have 5th through 13th, and we FC Cincinnati, DC United on this graphic, so they're not on it. I think we're just as good as any of these teams listed on. Maybe not Toronto, even though they're below us with their new additions. They scare me the most. But, I mean, Columbus and Miami play each other. We play Miami, New England, Charlotte, Chicago on here. So there's a lot of points to be had. I guess what our hope is that there's as many draws as possible now, and then we get more wins. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I mean, okay, do you guys, we pull 3 points this weekend. Let's say we pull 3 points this weekend for Charlotte. I mean, I think that dramatically, gives me a lot better feeling going into the stretch run, knowing, if we can get to We are hoping 45 games, maybe 44, or 45 points, maybe 44, 43 might be able to get us in if everybody keeps beating up on themselves like they are.
I mean, let's look at sort of what could happen. If we lose any of these games, it's going to hurt us twofold, because not only will we lose points, but we'll probably also lose a little bit of that goal differential. Winning helps us in that as well. I mean,
goal differential doesn't matter. It's wins. This is a tiebreaker.
I know, but you can see right there, 8 wins, 8 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins, 8 wins. If it all draws, then it goes to goal differential. And not to mention, winning gets you that goal differential up. So right now, it's important not to lose. Let's just put it that way. A loss probably dooms us in the end, unless we're able to win 6 out of 7 games or 5 out of 7 games. And we haven't been able to do that. So just don't lose is a bad moniker to abide by. But right now, you can't lose any of these games.
Columbus's coach is out there telling them a draw is the greatest thing in the world. And our players are feeling defeated after draws. So I do think that going into these matches, a win is on our mind. And we have a couple clubs in front of us that we would like to knock out of the way. Someone said it in chat, Columbus has a much harder schedule than we do. That's good because they're right there with us. We have, I think I want to see us win sooner rather than later, Bill, because I don't want to be holding on to come that last game of the season. But it might come down to that, honestly. It might come down to Dallas.
DC, but yeah.
DC.
Yeah, DC.
Which is a great team to come down to. So,
I mean, we'll see.
But
okay, look at this, guys. Like, we've given up like negative 37, negative 24, and negative 44 goal differential. Now we're negative 3. So that's awesome in itself. There's no shortage of confidence on this roster. Case in point, we get screwed over by pro refs and we score within 5 minutes. And you could tell that the team's like, screw this, we're doing this. Like, you saw Lucho hero ball out and he kicked ass. It was like literally like you're playing a FIFA game. Like, I'm just going to ram it down your throat. That gives me a ton of confidence going into the stretch run. I know that there's no metric to that, but just it makes me feel okay if we can just withstand, get a little bit more a backbone in this team, and we're getting more comfortable. You see Miazga running forward. You see Cameron playing much better. I think I think we've got a good shot.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of positive takeaways. I mean, even with the result and the fact that, again, we gave up a late goal that cost us a lot of points. But, people are making a big thing about Brandon missing those two early goals. And yeah, I mean, we expect him to get those goals. But, the reality is some strikers would check out, right? They'd be like, it's just not my day. And he just doesn't give up, and he just keeps going. And, he got one in. So, I mean, there's a lot of, missed goals with strikers, and some of the second one was almost hard to miss, but at the same time, it happens, and, you either lose your nerve and you start getting the yips, or you go back out there and you put one in the back of the net and eat some more pancakes.
And you're saying, winning now is better than winning later, especially when we might not have Vazquez down the stretch. He might be gone for 4 games. We need to win these games now. We need to get separation from the teams that could supplant us in this race.
Boy, I'm starting to really not want to miss Brandon Vazquez.
Hey, Miazga keeps playing like this too. Better watch out.
I need everybody to I need GGG to maybe cool it with Cincinnati for a couple of weeks. Maybe call him in at the end of camp.
We'll know here probably in the next 10 days or so who gets called up.
Yeah. When is that? Is there an official day?
The game's like the 23rd, 20th to 23rd.
It's that week of like the friendly that we have against with Chivas.
Yeah, and FC or the US Federation normally releases the roster 10 to 14 days out before the first game in the window. Yep.
Are we missing Acosta in the next match?
No.
No.
Well, he's got 3 games. If he gets 2 more games without a yellow card, he gets a yellow card pulled off. So he's still on yellow card watch for a little bit.
I'd like let's hope he doesn't get one for this one. I'd rather have him for New York than not.
So did I count wrong? Because I thought he got one in this match.
No, he didn't.
No, I think it was Moreno.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, tactical foul.
Okay. Well, I'll take it back. I saw Acosta right there when he got that yellow card out, and it freaked me out for a second. So that's good. We do have Obi back. Sergio Santos is back and healthy. So FC Cincinnati has options going forward. I think that some of these matches coming up are going to be pretty exciting because we're going to see exactly we've played some tough games. We've played a lot of tough opponents. So we're going to see what FC Cincinnati can do in some confidence building games.
Charlotte is not playing well. New York City is not playing well. And San Jose is the second worst team in the West. It's our next 3 games. Winnable. But you got to get them. You have to get them.
If
9 points would put us really close to 45. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah. Even 7 points I'd be happy with. But 9 points would be chef's kiss.
I think 7 points is very realistic, more than 9 points, but that only because you go to Stinking City Field, which is going to be weird. But it might be weird for New York.
It's an away team. It's an away game for both teams, isn't it?
Away game for both games. That is a weird game. So I just don't know how that's going to go. I guess we'll jump into final thoughts. We already talked about Brandon on his roster. Meet the Player event Sunday. I don't know if any of you guys went to that, if you want to touch on that, but looks like a lot of no shakes. Jeff, we'll just go to your final thought then.
Yeah, I'm starting to get more and more excited about the World Cup coming, and I'm starting to see more and more of these kits coming out, but I do not want to see what the US kit looks like. I've seen the models of them, and they don't look very good, but the ones that came out today, boy, I might have to, dare I say it, I might have to buy a Mexico kit. The ones done by Adidas lately have looked really sweet.
All right, Landon Donovan.
But I mean, Olive and York, once again, I plug these guys. They're really good with their kit mock-ups. Maybe they bring a US mock-up out, and I wear that one with pride. But yeah, can't wait. This is one of the best times of the year. You can sort of feel it that the World Cup is coming. So yeah.
All right, Brian, we'll go to you.
I don't know. I had a great time taking my kids down to the game, and I think that moment where Miazga hit that goal in, I actually was jumping up in the air and inadvertently punched my son in the face, so that was awesome. Maybe accident, maybe not. But no, it's just more memories and so much more excitement. This is so much more fun. I hate seeing all the Facebook stuff out there like, I might cancel my tickets because the refs stink. Dude, we are performing at a very, very good level without a very well-built team. And that's not a fault of our GM and our head coach. In spite of, everything they've been dealt, they're succeeding. So it's about to get super fun, and I can't wait for more. And having a podcast and having a team that's actually relevant is a whole new animal. So it's pretty cool.
That's right. I'm not sure anyone really feels like that's just something you say when you're just super mad, like right after the game. I have said some stupid stuff right after a game because I feel like we should have won or we shouldn't have lost or whatever it is. And then also be careful. Click some of these accounts. One of the ones that got like a ton of retweets and a ton of likes and comments on it. If you click on his profile, it says they're a Crew fan. So they purposely were, I'm deleting my tickets. Everybody else should delete their tickets too. It was a totally just a thing to get everybody all hyped up and mad about. So be careful of those profiles. Bill, we'll jump to you, and then we want to thank our supporters.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be fun, right? We have 7 more games, and I think every one of them is going to matter, which is going to be a unique experience for the FCC fandom, and going to be pretty exciting. So I don't think we're out of this for sure. I think, as we've said, we have a good chance of pulling out the playoffs. So I'm going to be cheering for FCC a lot, and I'm going to be cheering against several teams above us very strongly, because obviously somebody has to fall out for us to get in. So, see Crew lose, Miami lose, Orlando needs to take a plunge, all that good stuff. So.
That's right. All right. Well, we want to give a shout out to our fans. And of course, our great sponsor, Swear OX. We had a full show tonight, so we have had to push things as we move through topics. But this show wouldn't be possible without all of you. Relee, John Davidson, Mike Hudson, Robert Stevens, Laurel Failer, Matthew Adamczyk, Riley Stephen Burke, James Denbrough, Tom Newhouse, Brian and Brad Weigel, Brian Gills, Dan Alberts, Will Kychek, Ian Rex Road, Augustus Caceres, Bill Antonitis, Carl Fight, Jeremy Schrand, Kyle Pohl, Christina Sharma, Rupesh, Tom Beaversdorf, Jason, who is super average, John Haskell, Ryan Ernst, Mary Lou, Wes Anastasi, Rob Pierce, Clifford Adams, Thomas Steps, Pierce Johnson, Mike Brentis, Mr. and Mrs. Wiederhold, Rob Cassell, Kevin Day, Jamie Smith, Alex Carnegas, Mike Bowman, Patrick Lahani, Dave Tingler, Brett Sova, Chris Hubbard, Kevin Cooney, Joe Max, Jack Emery, Sarah Gorman, David Moore, Bob Ryan, Ryan Durkin, Bart Labita, Mark Neuenschwander, Robert Triple, Joe Lohr, Bill Leopold, Maureen Desmarais, and Jose. I think it's no, I'm not even going to try. Jose, one of these days, I'm going to get your last name right. But today is not that day, and that's all right. We will, I guess, my final thoughts. Hell is real is fun. It's fun, and that's a good thing. Even when we tie, because we're actually in these matches, man. You remember, we've had some rough Hell is Real games, and this should scare Columbus fans to death that we are in the playoff race, that we might see them in the playoffs, and I wouldn't want to be them. I would want to be us, because FC Cincinnati looks really, really good in the attack. The midfield's coming on. The defense is learning. We are a team, as Jeff Birding would say, on the rise. And I think that's a fabulous thing to be as a fan here, especially when you think we have an offseason coming up. We already have the bulk of this team built, and we just need some reinforcements next year. We could be looking at a pretty stellar season. So don't go canceling your season tickets if you are one of those people that yelled that out there, because FCC is just onward and upward from here. And I can actually confidently say that for the first time. It actually feels like I'm not lying to anybody. So thanks for tuning in to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate your support. Stay tuned. We got fun things coming out to the website this week, because FC Cincinnati has a run to go on, and we'll be here for it. See you next week.